Hi, I'm Mara. I'm a third year pharmacy student and today I'll be going over the application process for UCL. This information is general for all courses, however please do remember to check the most up-to-date information on the UCAS website, the UCL website, your department specific web pages and also any emails communicated to you. So let's start with the personal statement. The first thing I really highly recommend is reading the UCAS website under how to write your personal statement. Give some examples for things you can write about in each of the sections and it just really clearly lays out what is expected in the personal statement. It also gives you some prompts to help inspire you to think of things you can write about. It's just generally a really good starting point if you feel a bit stuck, if you don't really know what to write about. So the first thing I would do is definitely look at the UCAS website. You're encouraged to write about any academically relevant activity that you've undertaken. UCL don't expect to see anything in particular, so you can write about anything that is relevant and genuine and makes you shine the most in the context of your course. The next thing that's recommended is reading your department's prospectus page. It will have advice for applicants, the department's values, qualities and attributes of a successful applicant, and you can take this information and think about how it can be tailored and applied to you and your academic experiences. Next, show universities that you know exactly what you're applying for. Take time to properly research your chosen subject area so you can write a well-informed and thoughtful personal statement. You might also find it helpful to have a look at the different modules on your course just for some extra context. However, do remember when you're writing your personal statement to not tailor it too much to one university because the same personal statement will be sent to all of your different choices. And really importantly, showcase your personality and your interests and showcase what you would bring to the UCL community. I know you've probably heard this so many times, everyone says this, but don't leave it too late. You will very likely have multiple different drafts before you come to your final personal statement. So start it within good time and that way you can make it thoughtful and intentional and really think about what you want to write and what you want to come across. Authenticity will always shine. I know it sounds so cheesy, but do try to write from the heart. I really do think it makes you stand out, especially if this is a subject you really want to study. That will come across. In order to achieve this, really make sure that your personal statement is evidence-based so that you can show that this is something you really want to do, you have the interest, you have the knowledge, you have the motivation to study your subject choice. Now onto admission tests and selection tasks. Some courses may require a selection task, admission test or portfolio. The type of task or test, deadlines, requirements vary a lot between degrees, so please make sure you are checking the specific guidance from your course. When I was preparing for my UCL pharmacy assessment back in 2023, I kept a folder of practice calculation questions. I watched YouTube videos from other pharmacy students for advice. I tried to think about the possible questions I could be asked within the context of my degree, and I just slowly worked through practice questions periodically up until the test. However, remember, preparation will likely look different depending on your course. Each of the prospectus pages and UCL admission pages will state whether a test or anything else is required and will provide useful links so that you can access past papers and any practice questions. And very importantly, make sure that you take a note of when these tests take place and whether you need to book a slot. Now onto the interview. Again, some courses, not all, may require an interview. And again, these interviews vary a lot between the different degrees. Again, this is just an example from my pharmacy experience. I watched YouTube videos from other pharmacy students just to get an idea of what an interview in my chosen subject could look like. I read around my subject. I also kept up to date with the news in the fields related to my degree. I also researched and learned about some of the core principles and values related to my subject so that I could reference them in my interview and relate them to my own experiences. I tried to anticipate some of the questions I could be asked, and I also looked into general frameworks that I could use to help me answer questions in the interview. Again, I just kept this all in a folder and just slowly and periodically looked over this up until my interview. And yeah, I would recommend, again, just starting early, taking it slow. And I just want to stress this again, your interview will look different depending on your course. So please do check the specific guidance for you and your course. And also for pharmacy, of course, I had to have a degree of professionalism, but this is again applicable to all interviews. You know, you are showcasing yourself and you do want to come across as professional and committed. Now just for some final general advice. Applying to university can be a very busy and overwhelming time. There is so much information given out in such a short period of time. You can feel very overwhelmed with all the emails and all the applications and all the passwords and accounts to all these different portals. I would really recommend just keeping a list of all your different usernames and passwords for all of these different university pages and accommodation and student finance and everything. I also recommend allocating specific times throughout the week just so you can sit down and just catch up on any communications and make sure that you're not missing anything. And also alongside keeping track of all your different accounts, keep track of deadlines. I know it's easier said than done, but be patient whilst you're waiting for your offer. Try to not compare timelines with your friends because often different universities will give out their offers at different times. You can check the UCAS website for different offer deadlines and when universities should reply by. Lastly, make sure that you check out different useful sources such as the FAQs on the UCL website, UCL social media, and make sure that you check your department specific website as well. So that is everything. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this has given you some guidance for applying to UCL. Just a final message from me, please do remember that there is no right or conventional path to university. Once you get here, you realize everyone has come from a different background, myself included, and I just wish someone had stressed this to me when I was anxious and applying and things were going wrong. And like seriously, even if things aren't playing out exactly how you imagined or how you envisioned, everything will work out in the end. Again, I know so many people have probably said that, but it's so true. Yeah, even if things aren't going to plan, it doesn't mean that they're going wrong. Good luck with your application, and we hope to see you at UCL soon. Bye!